Good morning, this is Norma Cowie, and once more, it's Wednesday, and it's Norma Talks. And my own personal journey continues, but today I actually have one of my favorite people in my house, sitting in a chair watching me, where she usually is sitting on a monitor watching me. As I have explained, I have three friends in particular from all over who join me on Zoom every Wednesday while we talk a little bit, and then I record Norma Talks. And then when I'm finished, we talk a little again before I do what I have to do to get it up on YouTube. They have been a great support system. Three wonderful friends for us, and the gal that's with me today, her and I did an interview with her some time ago, and actually we had an email regarding the interview wanting to know a little bit more information because she has a lot of procedures, but we go back to what, 90s, early 90s or late? 1992. She remembers the years, 1992. So she's come up from the island, Vancouver Island, and on her little holiday journey, and so she's spending a couple of days with me. And it got me thinking about friendship and how important that we've known and met. My other friend who is also on here, I've known all of them approximately the same time period. A few years, maybe here or there different. Friends are very, very important to you, especially if you're going through any kind of trauma in your life, any time of hardship or uncertainty, or you're not really sure what's going. You really want good friends that give you solid advice. Some friends don't want to know about what's going on for you, and sometimes the advice they give you is maybe not the best for you. And one of the things we look at, we go back, the people that I'm talking about that have been such good friends to me and supports it, not just friends, but supporting me in the work that I do and wanting to do and recommend people, etc., like things like that, is that we all began in this road of what I call myself as a metaphysical, metaphysical consultant, is that people don't really understand what metaphysics is, but it's about understanding how life works, really. It's about understanding how you think, how you feel, how you respond, how that works and affects into your life and the direction of where you're heading and where you're going. I'm just looking at my hair on the screen. I get my hair cut this afternoon, and I'm so pleased because I was ill, as most of you who watch my shows know. I'm not 100% yet, but I'm well enough to go, and I've had a few things done that I needed done. And the last one is to get this haircut because it's been a long time. So that's what happens when you're not feeling well. And so you have to apply and wait for the right time to be able to go and get these things where you like them to be. And so you feel more comfortable in your body, in your life and how it's working. So next time you see me, which will be on Sunday for a Sunday thought, yeah, my hair will be a little different, trustingly, that if all things work the way they need to. But let's talk about metaphysics. Let's talk about thinking for a moment. I did a talk on my last Sunday thought about the importance of watching your internal thinking process, and mentioned that I had a series of loving yourself affirmations. What's been interesting is I've had a couple of emails talking about mantras. Now, I don't use the word mantra. I don't do mantras particularly. I thought I had to long think about this, actually. Where do I do mantras? And there's one exercise that I've done that you could say has mantras within it. But it's very different from when you're doing affirmations. Affirmations is you affirming something, but what I found was the most significant thing about affirmations is to look what opposes it in your system. Usually it's your thinking pattern. So if you say, I love me, and there's a voice that says, oh, no, you don't, which is the first thing when I said that internally, I love me, very strong voice said, no, you don't. Took a long time to that voice to be dissipated. And I had lots of experience with that. I had it that in the system, because I was learning this sort of transformation center, began my transformation awareness, we'll put it that way, many years ago. And as I began to get deeper into this, this voice kept coming. And it took me a while to realize that's what I had to go for, was the voice that didn't agree with what I wanted. So I have a series of different sayings, and I love me, I trust me, I'm loved, I'm lovable, as the basics ones. And I tell the story because this is very true. I could say I love me quiet, and it would sink in. It felt so good. And then one day I had my hands on my knees. Well, many of you don't know, but I've had 2 partial knee surgeries because it's a family thing. Actually, most of my family nieces have had this particular surgery. I was young, so they didn't want to give me a full one at that time, so they gave me partials. So I walk rather than not walk. And like my mom didn't walk because they didn't do knee surgeries in those days. So I'm very grateful for the modern age thing. But one day I had my hands on my knees and I said, I just could, because I quite often would run my affirmations, and I said, I love me. And the voice was there. Oh, no, you don't love you. And that's when I learned that the body holds on to different thought patterns in different places. That's when I began to do more scanning. That's when I introduced scanning to see where the energy is blocked, where the energy stops, where the energy, doesn't go. So it's really important to understand. So let's talk about people. I've saying, because I had said, if you want to have my list of loving self, or listen to it, because that's a thing that I used to have CDs, but now we're turning them into being downloads and things. But if you wanted that, just email me. And then people are asking for the mantra. Well, mantras are very different from my perspective. I haven't used mantras a lot, but I have in one particular thing. There is more of a mantra-like part with it. A mantra is that you repeat a saying, a sound, or whatever. This is my understanding anyway, because it's never been part of my journey that much, is that, and what that does is goes in. But you see, this is where I'm different. I don't know why I was chosen to be different, but I was. But I find that even with mantras, you've got to make sure the rest of your system agrees with it, or else what you're doing, it's like you're stuffing down the resistances. You're stuffing down. And that's not what you want. You don't want to be stuffed, because guess what? Your joints will start tightening up, or other things will start tightening up. So it's really funny that on Sunday I spoke about this. Here I am again on Wednesday talking about this. And it reminds me, and for myself, because I haven't done my own affirmations that I created for quite some time, fully on. So that's a warning to me also to, hey, get back to basics. So what are basics? Basics are understanding that you create your reality by how you think. So you need to spend some time watching how you think. Now, I often do that in abstract. I like watching certain sports on TV. So I'll sit back and I'll be watching, but I'll be listening to the abstracts that are going on inside. But you need to be quiet also at certain times and just do those affirmations so that you can catch all the nuances. Because I tell you, those parts that don't agree with what you're saying, trust me. I work with clients all the time, and most of them don't have trust. Faith and trust is one of the things that I usually incorporate in clearing against, because we don't have it. So if we're not quiet and inside and really listening, we miss where our systems are saying no. And that's why very often when I do that, I'll put on my head, on my throat, on my midriff, on my hips, on my knees, and I can't reach my feet very well these days, but I can imagine being down on my feet. And what you will find, and if you just use I trust me, for instance, we'll leave love to the side for a moment. I trust me. When you do I trust me and you've got your hands and you're concentrating on certain places, you're going to get different answers, A. Mostly you will not find an absolute togetherness on those. And if you do, I'm going to congratulate you so much, because that means that somewhere along the line, you've done your work about trusting life, trusting yourself. You know, it took me a long time to learn to trust myself, because there's a lot of reasons why in my background life, but after a while, you just need to understand this is who you are. You've got a personality. Personality is not it's your personality. And I found I had to come to terms with my personality. And at times there was great criticism about who I was, especially people who had, you might say, sort of a station over me. I was learning from them. And so they would take great delight, it seemed to me, to tell me how wrong I was. Until finally I had to say, this is who I am. If you don't like it, sorry. And so is learning how to be who you truly are. And knowing that it's okay, and if people don't like it, they don't like it. I mean, I've always been in the tarot world, the metaphysical world, kind of out here on the sidearms. I've been to tarot conferences where there has been a lot of speakers. And I would be the lone it felt like it anyway, for me, the lone psychological tarot reader. Philosophers in there talking. There were some great presentations. Oh my goodness, people that got into mythology, that was amazing to me, because I've always wanted to know about me and life and how life worked. So I was always looking at the symbolism in relation to how does it apply to everyday life for everyone. And that's how I've always taught it. And that's what my tarot videos and books do, is to help you understand who you are. Because if you don't understand who you are, how can you trust yourself? How can you know yourself? And I was very busy through the 40s and into the 50s, very busy, business-wise, work-wise, everything. And my kids were all gone. So, you know, all I had to do was work, create. And, but what I'm getting at is that if you don't go back to basics every now and again, and it's been great having my friend here, because I was just learning how to teach some things when we first met. And she was in my class, bless her heart. And she's been great, because she pops in and out of my life every now and again. And now she's a consistent part of it, thanks to Norma Talk Wednesdays. But it's like, what I'm getting at is that every now and again, you have to go back to basics. You could think of a person that's climbing a ladder, and it goes higher and higher and higher. And then if you do that, you've got to have a ladder propped against something. And if you go higher, the ladder's not propped. What's supporting you? Yes, the journey that you've been on so far, but it's also, now you've got to come back and you've got to remake that bottom of that ladder, we'll say, stronger, so it will support you. You got to extend it. So you got to, if you're going, and it's not just higher, it could be broader, but it's like we need a base to come back to. And if you haven't got your feet firmly set in the basics, I was just saying that sometimes people phone for an appointment and it's like they don't understand the basics, but they want to go into, they want to dive into the deep end of the pool and do this and that and the other. And sometimes what I do is encourage them to start off just understanding who they are, just getting a sense of who they are, and then progressing into the more deeper waters where you are more into your emotional state. We have two parts. I was always very, I'm just going to use mental and emotional. I was always more mental in my awareness, but more responding emotionally in my life. I did not realize that for a long, long time. So I had two parts: intellectually, awareness, kind of little, and then emotionally responding without realizing that was what was happening, being triggered by things. And then finally, I began to realize these two had to come together. And they're like the two faces that work together. And we need to have an interaction. We need to have the mental and the emotional working together. And we need to understand and accept our feelings. So if we're feeling something, what I teach basically is when you have a feeling, name it for what you feel it is. Don't say that, oh, so-and-so say when you feel this, it's that. It may not be for you because every individual is an individual. You need to know what it means for you. So you have a feeling. If you can name it, because I always say it's your body's way of talking to you, if you can name it, what will happen is that it will just dissipate. And as it dissipates, the body is calm. And either the next feeling will come along or not. If you do not, this is where the kicker is for most. If you cannot name it or refuse to name it because you don't want to feel it, you repress it. The moment you repress it, you now have an emotion because it's a blocked feeling. See, one of the things I work with, I just want to explain this a little bit more. One of the things I work with is what I call like levels. And in each level, whatever it is I'm looking at, and I'm going to bring my hands up here so you can see. What I look at is where they are, and then how does it level out? Is it smooth? Or does it stop here? Or is it, because that can be like that too. So it's like what we're working at is to have everything get smoother so you can understand it. And with this part of my transformation clearing work with all my clicking and clacking that goes on with my fingers. But what I want you to be aware of is the knowing of affirmations and get your mental going, yes. But also, what are these feelings that keep coming up? You're not two people, you have two aspects. One is part of the body. We are a soul in a body. We're in a soul that's had many, many different experiences, not only in this planet, but other planets. We have a soul that has made decisions about things that we are now acting out in this life. So we need to understand all that. And most of those reactions and acting out in this life come from feeling left, because the soul has made decisions. You make decisions that are repeated in this life. And now we have these feelings and we don't know what to do with them because feelings are not appreciated in this life. Right now, they are not. It's all about this, that, do as you're told, do as what's recommended, do this, do that, do the other, like little automatons baying. What happens to how we feel about that? What happens to how we feel we don't want to do that? Well, then you're wrong because you're supposed to, comply or whatever. I've never been good at that. My dad and we were talking about that this morning, actually, my friend and I, that we both had different fathers, like that fathers didn't like being comprehended. And I was angry at my dad about some stuff. And man, I used to take them on. So I learned to take things on, but I also got very insecure about it because usually I got hit. And that wasn't so good. But the lucky thing was I very seldom saw my father because he was always working. So I had a work ethic. The working is that you work. And here I am still at my age working. Not that I consider it as work because I love what I do, but it's like I had a work ethic, and that helped me a lot in my life, which thank goodness I learned from my father. So life is complicated, but it can be so joyous. And I was sitting here as before my friend arrived thinking a lot of the restrictions that have gone on in some way in the last couple of years have really had an impact on me. I had to change how I do my work. I had to change on who I see and how many people. I used to have groups all the time. Now I have groups on through Zoom, and which is wonderful, but it's not the same as having that personal contact. And now I can reach more people because this Saturday I'm doing a small workshop on Zoom, and I've got people from Colorado, back east, and other places that are able to come and join in. So there's everything has a plus. You got to look for it, though. You got to look for it. How can I adapt? I was thinking about adaptation, but I think that's a thought for another day as to how we adapt. But I really want you to think about what are your basics? I love me, I trust me, I'm loved. It's really important to realize other people do love you. I'm loved and I'm lovable. And then we have got faith and trust and all that stuff too as well. Take a look, take a stock, sit down and think about it. Where am I on that? Or am I just living in a small part of myself? Do I spend more time thinking about things, which most of you may not be aware of what you're thinking, or do I spend more time resisting my feelings because I don't like how they feel, which means you need to go in and find out why not. But there's a lot of therapists, there are a lot of people like myself out there. Find them. And I have to say, I'm available as well. But it's like you got to choose where you're comfortable. You got to speak to somebody that makes you feel that, yes, you're important and precious, and that you can create and do what it is that you want to do. And on that note, I'm just going to say thank you to everybody who's listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your shares. Thank you for thumbs up, whatever. And remember, if you'd like to be on my newsletter, which tells you about the workshops and my work is a little bit, and about the YouTube 3 shows now I do, which is wonderful for me. Make sure that you email me through the website, normacowie.com. You have a great day. Most importantly, right now, love yourself. Thank you very, very much. I can't find where I take it off recording. It's not.